Thanks everyone for joining. So this is a Q&A session that Mark is he's gonna be the main one talking today. My name is Sarah Vano. I'm the programs director for MiSCA. Since about a couple years ago, we've been trying to expand our non-racing options for our programming. So as our staff has expanded, we've been able to start doing that. And one exciting part of that is our new adventure program. So Mark Ware, he is already pretty experienced in running these kinds of events. And he's already run similar programming for the Rochester high school team. And knowing that those events are very much enjoyed, we're looking forward to bringing that to our whole league. So what he's going to go through today is he's going to explain what an adventure day looks like. If any questions come up throughout his info session, just put them in the chat. And when he's done presenting, I'll run Mark through those questions. So Mark, are you good to go?
Absolutely. Thank you, Sarah.
Yep.
So let me start out by introducing myself briefly. I know that if you're not part of the Rochester mountain bike team, you probably don't know me. I've been a coach for the mountain bike team, the Rochester team, for the last 3 years, and am a mountain biker that has been around the Rochester area riding bikes for about 35 years, and also have experience in both adventure racing and in putting on adventure races and adventure events. And so I've come on in the new position as adventure event director, and I'm excited to do it. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. It's going to take me probably a good 20-25 minutes, something like that, to go through the information that I will, and then I'll open it up for comments. As Sarah said, you're welcome to put your questions down in the comments, and we can get to them. You might want to hold off on some of them, though, because I think you'll find that as I go through, I'm going to give more and more information that'll perhaps answer some of the questions that you're thinking of early on, and that's fine. For the Rochester mountain bike team, in the last couple of years, Karen Eckel, the head coach, was good enough to invite me to put on events for them, and they're similar to the events that I've put on for the public on a smaller scale. I started out adventure racing around 2000, around 24 years ago. And then a little over 10 years ago, about 10 years ago, I started putting on adventure races for the public after having done some similar things for my employer as team building events. And so as Sarah said, I've got experience in various ways of doing, of putting on events like this. So let me answer the question first of why. Why does MiSCA want to get into something like this? I think that MiSCA is very good at the things that they do. In the time that I've been a part of MiSCA, I've been very impressed with the way that they put on their mountain bike races, and they're very organized, and the way that they've organized to teach kids about everything from mountain bike safety to training for racing and so many other things. As Sarah said, Sean Warren approached me because the idea was, hey, MiSCA wants to get into a couple of other things that would be not so focused on the racing aspect, and recognize that this kind of makes sense to get into adventure type events. It's also real good for the aspect of working together as a team, and I'm going to talk about that a bit more too, and give you more information about that. I'm going to share my screen in a minute, but before I do, I just want to let you know. In fact, why don't I share my screen to do this? Let you know where to find this information when it comes time, when you, after this meeting, you say, what did Mark say about this? and where can I find this information? So hold on a moment here. I can get this out of my own way. Let me start with this one. If you go, and this is pretty easy to remember, if you go to miscabike.org/adventure, you'll find links to some of the other information that we that I'm going to cover and go into here, but pretty much from this web page at the bottom, you'll see links down here that go to the information session, which is this meeting today, as well as Stony Creek Adventure Day, which is the first event that we're going to be putting on May 18th. So I'm going to go ahead and click on this link for today's meeting. And am I still sharing? Yes. Okay. Very good. So let me start out with, what is Adventure Day? What is an Adventure Day? It's a one-day event whose purpose is to provide an outside of race series activity for the MiSCA organization. As I said, MiSCA is great with the race series and everything that they do with that. They have other things that Sarah is responsible for, including the Brave program, the Devo program, doing really well on those things. And it's sort of building off of that and saying, what are some of the other things that we can provide, MiSCA can provide as an organization to enhance the opportunities and the experiences for these kids that we know enjoy mountain biking. And so that's really what this is. It's just to kind of broaden the things that MiSCA does. We're going to have games for all age of MiSCA students that are fun and only slightly competitive. You'll notice that that's a big theme of the things that I'm going to talk about here is, yeah, there's a bit of competition involved, but it's not competitive in the same way. At the end of the day, you won't have trophies to bring home with you. You won't be standing on any podiums. You might brag about how well you did in the event, but it's really not about that. It's much more about the experience. It's also an opportunity to ride trails with students from other schools in a non-competitive setting. I know that for some of the kids that have been in MiSCA for years, you know who some of your competition are from other schools. And you recognize those faces and you know those names of those people. But really the only time that you see them is when you're competing against them. Wouldn't it be fun to be able to just go for a ride with them? We're going to provide that opportunity. And here's a big one, is it's open to coaches too. Not only is it open to coaches, but I'm really encouraging coaches to participate in this. Not because we need you, not because you need to be a coach, but because we want to provide that fun opportunity for coaches as well, so that you can come out and be on an even playing field with the kids that you've been coaching and allow them to compete with you or just have fun with you. It's really, it's a time to let the coaches let their hair down as well. So what will there be to do at these events? There are really 3 sub-events. The big one, what I'm calling the anchor event of the day, is the Adventure Challenge. And there are 2 opportunities there. You can do either a 2-hour or a 4-hour event. I'm going to go into detail about that. The second thing that we're going to do is something we're calling adventure games, which are real lighthearted, short, simple, fun games that you'll be able to do. And we're even inviting parents and siblings and anybody that's out there to do it. And they're going to be some fun things for us to do. And we're going to finish the day with something we're calling the Party Pace Group Ride. And I'll tell you what that's about, where the idea came from, and what it's all about. So what is an adventure challenge? You know what? Let me back up. I'm going to go to the other page where I can go into greater detail. This does tell about the adventure challenge. Let me say this real quickly. On this page, you'll see a quick description of what the adventure challenge is, what the adventure games are, and what the Party Pace Group Ride is. And so it'll tell you that. But even more than that, if you go to, and this is the page for the event. This is the May 18th event that you can take the link to go to this, and it tells you a lot more. it starts out with the schedule. So let me walk you through the schedule so you can get an idea of what is this day going to be like. It'll start out with at 8 o'clock with folks checking in, especially those people that are doing the 4-hour event. We're asking you to come at 8 o'clock. You'll check in. Adventure games setup will start then. I'll tell you more about what that setup means and who's going to do it. By 8:30, half an hour later, we'll have the Adventure Challenge pre-meeting. And that's where I'm going to get bits of information regarding that, the Adventure Challenge, which will start at 9 o'clock. So 9 o'clock, the Adventure Challenge begins. And we send those people out. Also at 9 o'clock, the people that are doing the 2-hour event will be checking in. At 9:30, we'll have the pre-meeting for them. 10 o'clock, we'll send those folks out. So once we get to 10 o'clock, a lot of the people are going to be out on the course, and so it's going to get fairly quiet around the start finish area. So what happens then? Well, the adventure games will be set up, and we're going to invite everybody that's around. So it'll be siblings, it'll be parents, it'll be other people that are around that are not doing the 2 and 4-hour event. We expect it'll be a relatively small number of people, but they can come out and try out the adventure games. Again, I'll tell you more about that in a moment. At 12 o'clock, the 2-hour event finishes. Lunch will be available starting then. At 1 o'clock, the 4-hour event will finish. And adventure games will continue until 2 o'clock when we finish the adventure games and the adventure games, and we start the party pace group ride. It's a non-competitive ride for everybody that is either a student or is a level 1 coach or above. And then by 3:30 at the latest, maybe as early as 3 o'clock, people will be wrapping up from that group ride, and by 4 o'clock we'll finish the day. So that's kind of a glimpse at what the day will look like. Let me dive into it a little bit deeper. I already covered this, what is an adventure day and what will there be to do. I'm going to get into the 3 sub-events. So I'll start with this anchor event, the 2 and 4-hour challenge. So there is I'll point out here that there's a link to the required gear list, lets you know what you need to have. It has a lot of obvious things like mountain bike and helmet, but it also has things on there like a compass. We need to have 1 compass per team, and I'll tell you why, give you more information about that. So what is this adventure challenge? The Adventure Challenge, this event is based on adventure racing, but without the heavy competition. It's a light-hearted kind of competition. Sure, we're going to keep track of how many points that you collect in the woods. Sure, we're going to keep track of the time. We're going to ask that you come in before the cutoff time, but there'll be no podiums, no medals, no awards. None of that. It's really meant to be a very fun type of relatively non-competitive event. I know how the kids are. I know that they're going to be competing out there, but that's not what it's all about. And so there are 3 parts to the Adventure Challenge. There are 3 disciplines, if you will: mountain biking, trekking, and land navigation. You all know what mountain biking is. Trekking is just a fancy name for traveling on foot, whether you're running or jogging or walking. It's basically maneuvering through the woods on trails on foot. The third part of it is the one that scares people a little bit: land navigation. People say, "Ooh, land navigation, that sounds kind of scary," and they picture, somebody being found 3 days later, curled around a tree that got lost. First of all, I'll tell you that at Stony Creek, that's pretty impossible to do. I have been challenged to find places in the woods that are farther than about 50 meters from any trail, so you really can't get lost out there. But the idea of land navigation is you use a map and a compass to find these points that I've placed out in the woods, and you have nothing else. There's no directional arrows. Unlike a mountain bike race, once you get out and on the trails, you won't see anything telling you where to go. You need to follow the directions. You need to follow the map. You need to follow your compass. The 2-hour and 4-hour refer to the time limit. It basically says that's when you need to get back. So you ask the question, well, what if we're not done? Well, the idea is you might end up skipping 1 or 2 control points in order to get back. Most people will finish in under that. I'm going to design the courses such that most people will finish before that time and collect all of the points. But if you don't, make sure that you get back and so that we don't have to go out looking for you. And here's a key thing: participation in teams of 4 only. Those teams can be made up of students and coaches, or coaches. Really, this is a big part of what the day is about, is coordinating and working together as a team. As much as we have teams in MiSCA and everybody has a team affiliation with their high school or their composite team, whatever it might be, once you get into a race, you're on your own, right? Well, not in this case. In this case, you're working together with 3 other people, making decisions, figuring out which way to go. Somebody's carrying the map and telling you where it is. Somebody has a compass and says, no, that's the wrong trail, etc. And so that participation, that working together, is a big part of why we do this. Also, part of the adventure is that prior to the day of the event, you will know little more than where to go and how long you're going to be out there. You know that you signed up for a 2-hour event, and you know that it's at Stony Creek. In fact, right now, nobody knows exactly where in Stony Creek you're going to meet. You'll find that out later. It'll be before the morning of the event. I promise you that. But a lot of the information you won't know. You won't know how many miles are you going to ride. You don't know which trails you're going to take and which ones you aren't. You aren't going to know whether you're going to run first or bike first, or are you going to run, bike, run? Are you going to get on and off of your bike several times? You don't know any of that. You'll find that out on the day of the event. And so that's part of the adventure. Registration working with Sarah and the registration team. They did a nice job of making it so that it's very flexible. So you can register with a complete team. If you say, I know exactly who I want to race with, my 3 best buddies, we're going to go out there and we're going to do great. We're going to knock them dead. Or you might be someone that said, wow, this sounds like fun, but I have no idea who I'd do it with. Either way, you can sign up. You can sign up as a complete team. You can sign up all by yourself, or maybe you say, hey, I have one friend, the 2 of us, we want to race together, but we don't have the other 2 people for the team. Again, sign up that way. We'll pair you up with a couple more people to get you on. A little bit more about registration. First of all, I just want to say register soon. I know that all salespeople say that. Do that soon. Do it tomorrow. Well, you don't have to do it tomorrow, but don't wait. Call me an optimist, but I think that we're going to fill this up, because out of the 1,000 or so people that are in MiSCA between students and coaches, we have a cutoff of 160. I expect that it's going to fill up. So don't wait till 2 weeks before the event to sign up for it. So think about it. If it's something that interests you, go ahead and get yourself registered. Registration will be cut off a week before the event. We need to do that because we have paperwork that we have to put together and final planning based on how many teams are signed up. So it will certainly be cut off no later than a week before the event. Navigation experience, back to that navigation thing. It's helpful, but it's not required. Again, you're going to learn just by participating in an event like this. You're going to learn some things about navigation, but I've made the navigation part of this simple enough that if you simply understand how a compass works, and you know that if you hold it down in front of you and you look for where that red arrow points, and you know that that's north, you're off to a good start. And you can figure it out from there. And you're going to find over time that just doing an event or 2 like this, you're going to get experience. Oh, I just want to mention this briefly, that in the last week before the event, watch your email. If you're registered and you realize, hey, I don't know everything yet, I still don't know what part of the park we're supposed to meet at, well, watch your email. I'm going to give you the last few things that you need to know before you come out for it. You will find out some more information, a whole lot more information on the morning of the event, but watch the email in that last week. And a little distinction here between the 2-hour and the 4-hour challenge. For the 2-hour challenge, we are requiring that all team members be 12 years old or older, or have a coach on the team. For the 4-hour event, all team members must be 15 or older, or have a coach on the team. So you can go either way. If you say, look, we want to do it just us kids, no problem. As long as everybody's at least 12 years old, no problem. You can do it at least the 2-hour event. And if you're at least 15, you can get into the 4-hour event. I think I know that some of the kids from Rochester that have done some of the events that I've put on before are going to be itching to do that 4-hour event and be a little more challenged than I put them through in some of the shorter events that I put on for them. Also, parents are encouraged to attend. Please do come out and support your kids. But we can only let you participate if you're a level 1 coach or above to go out there and actually register and be in this first event. Here's a great note. The registration fee is $20 per student or $10 per coach, which includes lunch. This is extremely reasonable in terms of pricing. It's one of the things that Sean and Sarah were really pushing for when we got this started. I had some ideas that they had to reel me in from a little bit of some additional things that I wanted to throw in that were going to add to the cost. And they said, you know what, to start out with, let's keep this inexpensive. Let's make it so that the cost will not be a barrier for anybody. So that cost of $20 to enter an event that includes lunch where you go all day long, you can't beat it. I can't think of any race that I've ever entered that was that cheap. So it's really quite a good deal. And I think that working together with the Sean and Sarah and the team, I think it was smart for us to do it this way. I think you'll appreciate it. And hopefully that is not a barrier for you. It's not a reason why you might not do it. Okay. So that's the adventure challenge. Like I said, that's the anchor event. Let me go on to this in my description of the second and third events will be shorter, and then I'll open it up to questions. Adventure games. Okay, so what this is sort of our midday event. This is after we've gotten the adventure challenge out of the way, then we can get into the adventure games. So what are adventure games? Well, games are something that are going to be hosted by the MiSCA teams. So we're asking each MiSCA team to host a game. I want to be clear here, by the way. We are not requiring that every team bring out and have games, but if you have participants, if you have students that have signed up and are doing the event, then please do. We're looking for you to support by also doing this by hosting a game. And the idea is that they're games that you can just walk up to, and in 5 or 10 minutes you play it and you say, wow, that was kind of fun. And let's see what the next one does. Well, that was what the Rochester team did. What did the Lake Orion team bring in? And so it gives you an opportunity to come out and play a game. It's a pretty non-competitive thing, but there will be at the end, once you finish the game, you'll have a number of points that you've gotten or a time score that you've gotten, and you can always go back later to see if anybody beat you, or if maybe you want to try it again and do it for a second time. So the teams are asked to provide a game that was designed or discovered by them, and we'll help you out in determining these games and coming up with the games. They're simple 5 to 10 minute games for individuals, teams of 2 or teams of 4. Games are standalone. There's no points that carry over from one to the other. This isn't like the MiSCA point series where over time, you add them all up and you see, no, that's not how it works. It's one game at a time. It's really just for fun. They're simple, fun, lighthearted, anybody can do it type games. So we're asking the games host to provide everything necessary for participation to play, a 1-page rules sheet to make it very clear what you need to do, what the game is about, and then keep an ongoing results sheet so that we can all come back and see how we did in comparison to other people before and after us. And so really that's all that we're asking the folks to do. Games can be a minute to win it type challenge or other things. Many of you may remember a show that was on television in I believe it was in the 90s called Minute to Win It. And they were simple challenges that people did, and they had 1 minute to do it, and you could either do it or you couldn't do it. And it was just fun to watch people do it. It's those types of things. If you don't know what I'm talking about, Google Minute to Win It games, and you'll see hundreds of games in there that are available. And those are good teasers, good starters for it. And some of those games are perfectly viable for what we're going to do here. So the challenge is for the host to come up with a game that people will want to come back to. You want to be the school that offered the game that there's a lineup for, because when people played it earlier, they had so much fun in it, they want to come back. So that's really kind of what we're looking for the teams to come up with, is fun games, lighthearted, simple games that they can do. The MiSCA team is responsible for designing and bringing up everything that's needed for it, making the rules clear, and making it possible for people to come back later to see how they did. There is no registration fee for this. So once you've paid that $20 for the day, that's all that you need to pay. You can also play in the adventure games. You don't need to, in fact, not only do you not need to pay for it, you don't need to register for it. The registration in this case for the adventure games is for the schools to register to say, yes, I am bringing in a game. I'm committing to having a game there for others to play, and so that we know that you'll be there with it. One thing that I want a little advertisement here is we need a coordinator. We don't have a person yet who stepped forward and said, I will be responsible for coordinating with all of the teams to make sure that they have a game and making sure they understand what they need and clarify what's expected and make sure that the game that was brought in is safe and reasonable and so on. So we're looking for a coordinator for that. If you're interested in doing it, this will be a fun thing to do. If you're interested in being that person, get a hold of myself or Sean Warren or Sarah Vano, and we'll point you in the right direction, and we'll get you started. We are looking for that person. Okay, that's it for adventure games. Let me go to the last one, the party pace group ride. Let me tell you a little history about where this came from, and then where the name came from. When I was brainstorming about this, I'd already talked with Sean and Sarah, and they said yes, they do want me to do something like this. This sounds great. So Mark kind of put together for us, what would we have people do, and I came up with the adventure challenge. We'd already talked about that, so I knew that was a given. I added in there the adventure games. I thought this will be a nice thing to add in here. And then I was thinking about it, and I thought, man, got all these people, and they've all got their mountain bikes out here. And you get to the end of the day, I think people are going to be itching to go out and ride their bikes. And we can just let them go out and ride, but why don't we make it a big group ride and get everybody and have this long string of everybody come out and do this ride? This sounds like a lot of fun. And I pitched the idea to my wife, and and I believe my wife's words were, "Are you kidding me?" To the idea that after going through a 2-hour or a 4-hour event, which is essentially a race for some of the people, and spending the entire day out in the sun and all of that, now you're going to tell them they got to go ride their bikes for an hour. And I thought about it, and I thought, yeah, I get what you're saying. What if we make it a real easy, chill ride? And she said, well, that might be okay. And so that's the way we brought it forward. And I believe it was Sarah Vano that coined the term party pace group ride. And it didn't take very much discussion in that before Zandra Inman, who you probably know, she's responsible for the race coordination. She said, I'd like to lead that. That sounds like fun. So Zandra is going to be leading this, and so in the future, she'll be the one that'll be taking the lead. But let me tell you a bit about what it's about. First of all, no charge to participate in the event. But unlike the adventure games, we do require that you register. The reason that we're asking you to register is we want to know who's gonna come out, and so that we can put you in a group. Why are we putting people in groups? Why can't we just let them go? Well, I think in order to prevent mayhem from happening on the trails and people going every which way and our fastest rider getting stuck behind an elementary kid and somebody falling and then the whole place getting backed up, and in 10 minutes we've got nothing but a bunch of people standing on aside their bikes, wondering what's going on up ahead and why they can't move. So what we're going to do is we're going to coordinate the groups, and we're going to start with our fastest groups and work our way down to our least experienced riders. One of the things that this will do is it'll allow you to ride at a non-competitive, fun way with those same people that you are racing with a couple weeks later. So you get to know them, and so they're not just the person that you're trying to beat their time and they're trying to beat yours, but you can actually have conversations with them and get to know them. And so it's a good way to do it. It's a late in a long day ride, so we're pacing it appropriately, and we're going to encourage the coaches to make sure that slow people down. This is not competitive. You're not out to prove anything to anybody. We're saying 2/3 to 3/4 speed. But picture it, we're going to be riding through Stony Creek, and there's going to be a snake of, say, 150 people all in a row riding through these trails. It's going to be a lot of fun. It's going to be a neat thing to do. When was the last time you went on a group ride with 150 people? So that should be a lot of fun. I'm not going to get into some of the grumble here. It's pretty much what I said. Oh, I do want to mention this, that we're gonna start groups kind of like a time trial, in that, again, ordered from the fastest to slowest. We'll send a group out. We'll allow for a little bit of a gap. We'll send the next group out, and so on. So we don't end up having situations where people are waiting for the group ahead of them. We also will allow people to cut out early. So it could be, hey, like we said, this is the end of a long day. Could be that some people say, you know what, I'm not going to do this whole probably 8 or 10 miles or 6 or 8 miles that we're going to do. I'm good with 2 or 3 miles, and so we'll have cutouts so that you can do a portion of it and then and call it a day after that. But we will let you know, students and coaches will know prior to the day of the event which group they're going to be in and who's in that group. So you'll say, hey, oh, that's cool. That guy from Grand Rapids that I've been racing against for the last couple of years, he's in my group, and so I can get to know him. So things like that will make it a lot of fun. So again, no registration fee for that either. It being free for coaches, we are looking for the coaches to come out. I'll be honest, both because I want you to have fun, but also we do want to have coaches in these groups so that to help keep them coordinated, and so we are looking for coaches to come out, and we'll place you in groups appropriately. We'll also talk with the teams about what group people belong in. Probably the simple way we'll do it is we'll say, hey, here's the list of all the people that have registered. Will you please order them? And if we simply get them ordered and we have everybody ordered, then we can kind of break them up into groups and be able to do that. Okay, so with that, I'm going to stop share. I think that I've covered what I needed to here, and I'd like to open it up for questions.
Thank you, Mark. So a couple questions that I got, basically asking, does a student have to be a MiSCA racer, and can basically an outgoing senior MiSCA racer, can they be in the adventure program? So the response to that is yes. We do have an outgoing senior category, and we have that so that folks can practice with their teams during that transition period between graduating, being a graduating senior and entering college. So that's absolutely okay. Let's see. And then you do not have to race. So one of the reasons that we put this together is we wanted to provide an option that wasn't our actual race series. Just some kind of event to do that was outside of that series. So no, that's not required. I also put the general adventure at miscabike.org email. So if you have any questions or if you're interested in helping out, we do need the games coordinator, but also, we'll need volunteers to help with the event.
Yeah, thank
So
you for mentioning that, Sarah, because it's one of the things with adventure events like this. They are kind of intensive on volunteers. I have about 10 volunteers that I've identified for the adventure for the adventure challenge, and they're not people that it would be nice to have them. They're people that I need. We can't put on the event without them, so I'm going to need some people that say, yes, I will be there and commit to being there. And I'll give you information about what we need from you.
yeah, so at this time, we're trying to kind of identify what the volunteers will be doing. Mark has a pretty good idea of how his events run, and that description may change as we run these events and we kind of get the lay of the land and figure out how it goes. We're, always prepared to adapt. That's something that MiSCA is pretty good at doing. But these programs and these events are, they're all community focused, right? So it as always, it does take some extra hands um, to make this work.
And by the way, you reminded me of something, Sarah, that I didn't mention is that we have we're hoping to do 3 of these. We have 2 of them already scheduled and registration open for them. The second one will be June 30th, which is a Sunday, by the way. This first one at Stony Creek is on a Saturday, but the second one is Sunday, June 30th, and it's at Brighton. Registration is open for that too. And so again, if you're one of the folks that Stony Creek is a long way away for you, Brighton's a bit closer, fine, go ahead, sign up for that event too. It will be similar. I'm sure that I'll throw a few twists in there, but that event is open as well, and hopefully we'll be able to announce a third event soon once we get some things straightened out.
Yeah, we're still working on getting the venue secured. So I'm working on that. So, but that will be in August. If once that's ready, we will announce and open up registration. So just to elaborate on what Mark said. So, can coaches participate on a team, or like just coaches, no kids, no responsibilities? And the answer is absolutely yes. Our MiSCA staff is actually looking to put a team together, and we would be participating as MiSCA staff team. It would be like us signing up for the Tree Farm Relay. So you can put a team of just coaches together. It won't be like the Tree Farm Relay, but it'll be kid friendly.
Yeah,
So,
as a matter of fact, I know I'm going to be talking to my friends, my fellow coaches at the Rochester mountain bike team, and if they don't put together at least one, if not a couple of teams, I'm going to be disappointed. I know that some of them have participated in my events; they know what they're like, and I expect that they will be.
yeah, and the age restrictions that we have in place, it's just to try and put if the team kind of leans young, we just want to make sure an adult's there, especially for the 4-hour challenge. We want to make sure that folks are safe. Not unlike a race, we'll have, some of the volunteer responsibilities would include, kind of being out there and making sure that like things are going okay. So one question that I got: what happens if you take longer than 2 or 4 hours in the challenge?
Very good. Good question. So I'll answer it in the typical fashion of adventure races. If you do an adventure race and it's an 8-hour race and you finish it in 8 hours and 5 minutes, you will either get a penalty for it or you will be disqualified altogether. I know this because it happened to me once. I see that my race partner from that race from several years ago is on the call. It's pretty tough. I'm not going to be that hard about it. Nobody's going to be disqualified. Nobody is going to be penalized in any way. But we don't want to be waiting half an hour after the event and say, where the heck is Team 7? And send people out to go find them. So if you're running late, basically, and I'll give the same direction in the pre-event meeting. If you're running late and you know that you're going to cross the line late, I'm going to give you direction to give us a call and say, we're okay. We're late. We're at the other end of the park, and we'll be there about 10 minutes late. But for the most part, the purest answer to that is don't let it happen. Keep an eye on the clock and skip a control point or two, whatever it takes, so that you can get back in time. That's the better way to do it, but we get it. Some people will be late.
So basically, you're just giving a time estimate of how long you can expect it to take. Again, we're not making this like, we're making it like fun, competitive. There's not going to
Yes.
be a series points or anything. It's
No.
more just to make sure that you're not spending more time out there, a lot more time than you would expect. We are going to require that someone on every team has a phone and leaves a phone number with us so we can reach you, so we can check in on you.
Yeah.
And we'll find a way to make sure that you get back safely. So that's more, I think it sounds like, what the time restriction is there for.
Yep. It's really, like you said, it's an expectation. It's not it's as much a requirement.
Yeah.
Yes.
So for the party pace group ride, so how difficult is the riding? Like, are we riding Torn Shirt at Brighton? Is it going to be skill dependent, and break up into groups, or is that more of a Xandra question?
Well, yeah, I think it's a Xandra question, but I know that and is Xandra on the call?
She's not, but I
Okay.
could reach her pretty easily.
That's okay. I think that what I'm going to suggest to Xandra, and I imagine that she'll follow it up with is because we're sending everybody on this, and we want to allow everybody to enjoy it. At Stony Creek, for instance, I will probably cut out roller coaster. At Brighton, for instance, we wouldn't ride Torn Shirt. So yeah, we'll make sure that the trails that we choose are appropriate for the folks that are riding.
Yeah. Okay. Let's see. For the challenge, is it like a scavenger hunt? How do you prove you made it to checkpoints? So I think there's some questions about what's it gonna feel like out there?
Absolutely. Yeah, no, that's a good question. And you're right. I didn't cover it. And so I'm going to follow the traditional way that it's normally done in adventure races, where every team will carry with them something called a passport. And that passport has a grid of numbers on it, one through whatever, let's say 1 through 20, one for each of the what we call control points that you need to get to. And so on that passport, you are going to punch with a unique punch that is at each control point. You're going to punch the appropriate place, and so that when you bring it back in, when we're scoring at the end, we take a look and we can tell whether you made it to each of those locations. So it's unique punches that make it clear and allow us to know whether you were there or not without having somebody at every location.
Got it. And then I'm gonna assume that for the actual riding during the challenge will be similar to what you're putting together for like the party pace ride. Like, you're not gonna send everyone on Torn Shirt at Brighton. You're not gonna send everyone to roller coaster or to go on anything crazy. It'll be somewhat accessible. And again, remember, you're not
Correct.
racing, right? So it's like, if you gotta walk stuff, everything will be hike-a-bikeable. So yeah.
Exactly, and I will keep that in mind when designing the course, to make sure that I'm not sending some of our novice kids that I told them that they could go ahead and participate, but now I sent them over jumps. No, I'm not going to do that. I'll be careful about that, and make sure that it's all appropriate for those people that are participating.
Perfect. And then one thing, I don't know if you addressed it, for the lunch, for like making it like a team fundraising thing. Did you cover that, or did I miss it?
I did not. I
Okay,
did not, but we have a potential offer for it, and something like that might work. And because, like I said, it's a potential offer, and I'm not gonna rope anybody into doing it. But a suggestion was brought up that a team might use this as a fundraiser, and have the parents do the grilling, and bring in the food, and make it all possible. We haven't figured out exactly which way we're going to do it, but we'd really like it if it worked out that way. I think it seems like it would be kind of a poetic way to do it, to keep costs down for everybody, and actually even turn it into a fundraiser for a team.
okay. Let's see what else we got.
A lot of good questions.
Yeah. Let's see. So it looks like I know Sean's on this. Sean, all the agendas for the events, they're on the events themselves. I need to look on the website.
Yeah, that the schedule that I read that said, from 8 a.m. till 4 p.m. and what happens at each time, that was right. Excuse me. That was right off of the Stony Creek event on May 18th.
Okay.
And so, yeah, we'll have that information in there and
Yeah.
make sure that it's clear when people need to be where.
Yeah. So yeah, just go to if you go to like miscabike.org/adventure and you scroll down and you look at the events, and if you go to the event, the schedule is there if you need it.
Yep.
Let's see. Okay. Let's see. I should also mention if you're trying to avoid hotels, Brighton and Stony both have camping. So if you're coming from out of I know not everyone camps, but that's an option. And one of the cool things about this is it's and what it has the potential to be is really good, like just team building, especially for this May event. Like a lot of teams are just kind of getting started, or they maybe haven't even started yet. So this might be a good way for coaches and students to kind of just get to know each other a little better. It's a great way to get to know other teams outside of a race environment where nerves are a little higher. So, um, so if that's something that can also really create some camaraderie at the team level too, I think. Yeah. See, anything else? But it's going to be exciting. Registration is open. If there's any issues with it, just email registration@miscabike.org or the adventure email. I'll get emails for both. So, um, while it will be a learning process, I think with Mark's experience, I think it's going to start out pretty well. Let's see. Do you have to know your team when you register? No. So here's how it's going to work. When you register, there's going to be just a free form answer, and you just write down your team name. So that way, like, you can just register, like, here's going to be my team. And then once you've rounded up your team, make sure they write the same thing in there, because that's how we're going to have to put them together. We weren't able to really create the teams in a much cleaner way. Oh gosh, what was the other thing I was going to say? Crap. I don't know. Oh, can you make a team of folks of different MiSCA teams? Absolutely. Yeah, you can race with whoever you want. You can literally just join MiSCA to do adventure. And here's what I was gonna say. If you want to do it and you're like, I don't really have a team, you can say that you need a team, and we will put you somewhere. So don't feel like you have to have your team all sorted out. So if you don't really know anyone and you're like, hey, I would love to do it. So just if there's people who need folks, there's a box you can check, and we will work on making sure we have age appropriate teams put together.
And I want to point out that flexibility right there is a really nice feature. I've done many adventure races through the years, and I don't believe I ever had one where I just said, "Hey, I want to do it. Put me on a team." They'd say, "No, figure it out and come back when you got it figured out." So the fact that we're giving you the opportunity to do that, I think is a really nice feature, so that you don't have to. Let's say you're relatively new to MiSCA and you only know two people, and they don't want to do the adventure event. No problem. Go ahead and sign up, and we will put you on a team. One of the questions, by the way, that came up before: what if we end up with an odd number? No problem. So we might end up with having one team of three in the end. That's okay.
Maybe I'll just go out with one of you. I don't know.
There you go. And Sarah, I really like the idea that the staff is going to put a team together. I'm looking forward to
That's
seeing that.
Sean's idea. Yeah, he was like, we should do this. So
Oh,
like,
I think it's great.
what could possibly go wrong? You can put the staff together to be in an event.
Well, and I think things like that, like the idea of having coaches sign up, I think it kind of motivates the students to know, really, I can compete against Sean Warren, really?
Yeah. And I mean, don't put it past us to come up with some goofy awards, like if assuming there's time, maybe we'll put something together. So I mean, it's a, I think it's going to be good. It's going to be a good group of people. We got a good team running it. So yeah, I think it's going to be a lot of fun. So
Yeah, and remember that it's really not focused around the competition as it is about around the experience.
yeah,
We get it. Kids can be competitive, and a lot of the kids that are in MiSCA, they're in MiSCA because they wanted to be competitive, because they wanted to race against other people. I get it, but we're giving you an opportunity to be less competitive if you want to, and
yeah,
there's nothing wrong with that. I've done adventure races where half of the people that signed up for the races had no interest and really didn't care who won. They just came out to do it. It's like a lot of people that do marathons. I just want to do better than I did it last time. I don't care if I'm better than somebody else.
yeah, yeah. I mean, it can still be healthy. It can still be competitive, but there's practically not much on the line, and it's just, it's a different, if it goes wrong, it's, hey, you'll
Yeah.
be okay.
We won't take bragging rights away from you. Everybody gets bragging rights if you do well.
Exactly.
You won't. It doesn't help you in the MiSCA Point series, though.
Yeah. No. So yeah, if you know, definitely let us know if you're interested in, volunteering, or if your team wants to put together like a lunch fundraiser for it. So it's a good opportunity to fundraise for your team. So just email us and we will work that out. Let's see, any other questions? I think that was it. I was gonna say, Sean mentioned possibly going through the gear list, but we have it up on the website, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
It is up there, and it's pretty straightforward. I think that there shouldn't be anything that surprises you too much. What would you be surprised by? Oh, under recommended, and it's not even a required thing. Under recommended, I said to wear long pants. Why do I recommend that wear long pants or tights? Because hey, you're going to be getting off of your bike, you're going to be going through the woods, and there's both poison ivy and pickers. So a little bit of protection from that is a good idea. I'm not even requiring it, but it's from experience. I know it's a good idea.
Bring some Dawn dish soap and a sprayer. Yeah, I mean, Mark, it's not like I think you're going to send people into a swamp, but the risk is always there. And if that's all it is. It's like you may be going off trail.
Yes,
Right. So just be
yes.
prepared for that. It's not just going to be a clean we're just going to ride the loop. Like, no, we're taking you off the beaten path a little bit.
Yeah, I've been sent into swamps before in adventure races, and I won't do that to in this time.
Yeah. Yeah. No, man, swamp sections are brutal. So,
I'm not going to promise that you're going to come back clean.
all right. Um, okay. Well, we're just about to 9 o'clock, and I think we got some people kind of tapering off, and the questions have tapered off. So we're gonna let people get on with their evening. This is recorded, so share this with your teams if they might be interested, and tell your teams to register and put some teams together and sign up. So yeah.
Very good. Thank you, Sarah.
All right.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, Mark, and thanks everyone for calling in.